and the beginning of a new series for television, Danger Man. Its star was a relatively unknown actor, Patrick McGowan.
Danger Man was very much a product of its time. The advent of commercial television had brought to viewers the first of the American-produced series. Danger Man was ATV's answer to these imports. The production had to be practical, which meant that all the exotic locations had to be found in the British Isles. The opening scene was set in Washington, D.C., but was in fact filmed here on London's Marylebone Road. One particular location requirement was for scenes set in Italy. The job of finding such a location was the responsibility of production manager Douglas Twitty.
I went up to Wales with Ralph and Mrs. Smart in the car, and we just looked at different places in Wales that he thought might be suitable. We went like Tenby Castle and the beach around Portmaddock and Portmeirion, and took photographs, and then went back to the studio with photographs and indicated which section was going to be for which script, and with the scripts for all the series that were going to be shot around that area, and we shot little bits here and there. I mean, you'll see there's some coastline there, a big nice beach, I think it was called 10 Mile Beach or something, where myself and the camera grip played two airmen who'd ditched in the sea and were washed up in the surf there, and we played the parts. But we shot different sections, and then they fitted into the scripts when we got back to the studio and did the rest of it.
It was during this initial series of Danger Man that Patrick McGowan first met assistant director David Tomlin.
I met Patrick on Danger Man, 1961, when we did the first half-hour series. And we got on very well, struck up a good relationship, and after that we sort of teamed up with ideas for another series, and eventually it came to pass with The Prisoner. So, a very talented man.
I think probably Patrick is ever searching. He's very suspicious of every single human being under the sun, I think. And therefore he would be more easily drawn to a straightforward, no-nonsense man, though a gentleman I've always found David Tomlin, but a man who was above suspicion over affectations or any nonsense. David Tomlin is a man that would appeal to Patrick McGowan, because David Tomlin deals very firmly off the top of the pack and has no pretensions of fancy ideas.
Rose Tobias Shaw, who became casting director on Danger Man, known incidentally in the USA as secret agent, explains that the series would have failed without Patrick McGowan.
But he was a very complex and difficult man, and unpleasant, very professional. He was first on the set and the last to go, always knew his lines. He was in every frame. He was very important to a secret agent, because, as I said, he was in every frame, and when he was out of it, you saw all the holes and what terrible scripts they were. But he had a tremendous screen personality.
During the latter days of Danger Man, Patrick McGowan decided he would like to start writing himself, but felt that he needed a story editor. He was fortunate to find George Markstein, a former journalist. Markstein knew a great deal about the security services, including the activities of the Special Operations Executive during World War II.
He was then working on Danger Man, and he wanted to start writing himself. He hadn't written before, but he wasn't confident enough, so he wanted a private story editor to edit his own scripts. George was then between jobs, and I said, would you like to do that? And he loved it. And he, at that stage, got on extremely well with Pat. It was exactly what Pat wanted. He wanted a story editor, personal story editor, not a story editor for the series. There was a story editor for the series as well. But he wanted somebody to vet his own work. So Pat and George got together. And it was then George that came up with his own pet idea, namely The Prisoner.
In the spring of 1966, after making a total of 86 episodes over a period of 7 years, Patrick McGoohan decided that the time had come for Danger Man's lead character, John Drake, to resign. So in collaboration with George Markstein and David Tomblin, he began planning a follow-up series with a view to using Port Merion as the principal setting.
It was an amazing place. But I think the idea for The Prisoner came in retrospect. I don't know exactly how it sort of came to pass, but it obviously stuck in his mind. And I think it tied up with some other things that he'd sort of been interested in over the years. And eventually they all came into sort of one thought. And that's how we ended up there.
To establish a style for the series and to ensure its success, it was essential for McGoohan and Tomblin to employ an experienced director who was on their wavelength. They needed to look no further than prolific Danger Man director Don Chaffee.
Well, he'd done some, I believe he'd done some of the Danger Mans. In fact, I'm sure he had. And he and Patrick became very friendly. So that was a natural progression to that.
To surround the director with an equally experienced crew was also a primary objective. Therefore, as many members as possible of the Danger Man production team were invited to join the new series.
Yes, we had quite a few of them. Well, the way it happened was Patrick went to see Lou Grade, and he was in very good standing after Danger Man. And he got Lou very excited about the idea, which I think was a little bit vague at that time. But he was a good actor, good salesman, and Lou got very excited. They shook hands and it was a deal.
After Lou Grade agreed to finance the new series, the money for the project was given to a film production company called Everyman Films Limited, which had been set up by McGoohan and David Tomblin in 1960.
And then he came back to me and said, we've got the money for the series. So I said, oh great. So I wasn't quite sure what it was about, you know. So he said, we'll sit down and write the first episode. So I said, but I've never written anything before. You know, never written a script before at that time. I mean, I'd scratched out a lot of ideas occasionally. So I locked myself in a room with George Markstein for 1 month, and we came out with the first episode, you know, which Patrick took and embellished. I mean, the style of the series was really his baby. I can't take too much credit for that, you know, because I was used to sort of action-adventure things, which I like very much. And with his sort of more sort of imaginative ideas, it turned into The Prisoner. It was sort of a combination of thoughts, really.
The first draft script of The Arrival contained no references to the enigmatic symbols for which the series was to become notorious. Property buyer Sidney Palmer remembers the importance of finding an immediately recognizable image which would be instantly connected with the prisoner.